Welcome to Tech Blueprint, a window that lets you know the latest technology news in the world. Since Trump announced that he would impose a 25% tariff on the EU and exaggerated that the EU's existence was to deal with the United States, the EU, an ally, was also confused. They thought that Trump was crazy and didn't even care about the relationship with allies, so they quickly sent senior EU officials to the United States to communicate, hoping that the United States would let them go. The answer is obvious. Trump is unwilling to give in easily. Not only that, they also hope to ask the EU to increase tariffs on China on the premise of targeting EU tariffs. If the United States is not so greedy and only wins over the EU tariff stick may be aimed at China. But the fact is that the United States is tough and refuses to give in anyway. In desperation, the EU is ready to use the most powerful killer against the United States' anti-coercion instrument, ACI. What is this ACI? According to public information, ACI is the anti-economic coercion regulation passed by the EU in 2023. Once the EU believes that it has encountered unilateral economic coercion, they will take a wide range of measures such as tariffs and foreign investment restrictions to counter it. In serious cases, there may be a comprehensive embargo. To put it simply, if the United States insists on unilaterally imposing a 25% tariff on EU products, the EU will retaliate in the same way. Not only that, they will also prohibit American companies from investing in Europe, or European companies from investing in the United States, etc. Ironically, this killer mace was intended to be used against China at the beginning. But the EU did not do it later, for a simple reason, because as long as this method is used in the countries with which it has trade cooperation, the situation in return is likely to be a lose-lose situation. Even this time, the EU is determined to retaliate against the United States, which is also a lose-lose situation in the eyes of foreign media. This is partly because once this regulation is adopted, the United States is likely to imitate the method to retaliate, and even intensify it. According to Trump, the trade gap between the two sides is as high as $300 billion. Of course, in the EU's mouth, the gap between the two is not that big. According to statistics, the trade gap in goods between the United States and Europe in 2023 is only €155.8 billion. But the important thing is that both sides are their own trading markets. Once the United States starts to use the same method against the EU's economic system will also undergo great changes. In fact, the imposition of tariffs has already harmed the interests of many parties. On the other hand, it will also break the balance of investment between the United States and Europe. In the past, many American companies went to Europe to build factories and invest, which played a certain positive role in the development of the European Union. If investment barriers are set up, it is very likely to lose a large amount of investment. Of course, the European Union can indeed find other allies to fill this gap, such as Chinese companies and Indian companies. Chinese companies are fine. They have been increasing their investment in the European market over the years, but to a certain extent, they are just trying to circumvent the US tariff restrictions. In addition, India, needless to say, they hope to attract more foreign companies to invest in their own country rather than transfer their funds to invest abroad. It is worth mentioning that if Europe destroys the investment confidence of enterprises, then the current situation of India's withdrawal of foreign capital for many years and a sharp decline in investment rate is likely to appear in the European Union. In short, the European Union will not get much benefit from this plan. Of course, in the face of the tariff stick that the United States continues to wield, the European Union should indeed fight back, at least to make American companies and the US economy uncomfortable. Only in this way can the United States realize that cooperation is a win-win situation. In short, Trump wants to impose a 25% tariff on the EU, and the EU intends to use anti-coercion tools to counter. This tool may cause both sides to lose, break the investment balance between the United States and Europe, and damage the interests of many parties. The EU's counterattack may prompt the United States to realize that cooperation is a win-win situation. Finally, what do you think of this move that the EU may implement? Welcome to leave comments, likes and share.